Welcome, bent riders around the world. My name is Gary Solomon, and you're watching the Laidback Bike Report. Hey, we're coming to you live from the Laidback Bike Studios in Pickerington, Ohio, folks. Nice to see you again this month. We produce this monthly webcast that can be watched live right now, or you can watch it later on YouTube, where all of our videos are archived. So how can you help us out if you enjoy these broadcasts? I would encourage you to look at that little red subscribe button in the lower left-hand corner, or lower right-hand corner, sorry, of your screen, and click that, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you look in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a little letter I, and it contains information. That's what the I is. It will lead you to our website. It'll give you a little link to chip in $1 or $2 to help our cause. So check those two things out. Click them if you can. That will help us out. Also, head to our website, of course, laidbackbikereport.com. You can find out lots more information right there. We would love for you to be a part of this broadcast today and each broadcast. Participate by joining the live chat. So where can you find that? If you are watching directly on YouTube and you look a little bit to the right, you'll see a box that says live chat. You can type your questions or comments in there. On Facebook, on Bent Rider, and you can find a link that I put in there that will take you to that live chat box, and so you can contribute that way. And on our website, laidbackbikereport.com, you could be watching right there, and right below the screen you'll see the chat box. So hit us up there and let us know you're there. We'll chat back to you, and that way we know you're there. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what this webcast is all about today. We are going to have an interview with a very special guest, as we usually do. We'll have a question and answer period where you can contribute, as I just mentioned. Bryan Ball is here with us, and we'll have a report from the Laidback News Desk. We're going to have a very special cut-in report from Denny Voorhees, who is on assignment in Florida. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but we may cut away at any moment to go to Denny for a very special interview, so stay tuned for that. And then at the end of the show, of course, we'll go back and talk a little bit about the Google Plus community that we have and what's going on there. So we have a very special new addition to our report this month. For the very first time, we have a sponsor. So I'd like to very warmly welcome our first sponsor on the Laidback Bike Report. It's Ranz. Ranz Bikes was a pioneer in the American recumbent biking industry. With the new owners, Gerald and Kara Nichols, at the helm, we are beginning to see the future of this fine company take place. This month, Ranz is featuring the newly refocused Ranz Rocket. You should see a picture of that here popping up in a second. There you go. With the revised frame lengths and a new standard spec, including BB7 brakes and Schwalbe Marathon tires on Velocity wheels, it's time to take a fresh look at this classic bent. Now, I've owned 3 Ranz bikes over the years and have put more miles on them than any other bike that I've owned. So I'm obviously a big fan, and if you check them out, you might just become one too. To find a Ranz dealer near you or to learn more details about the Rocket or any of their other products, go to ranzbikes.com, and we hope you'll support them. All right, folks, let's move along with the program. I want to introduce our panelists this month. First of all, from South Florida, our media specialist, Carl Kidd. Hey, Carl.
Hey, Gary. Welcome to South Florida, where it's a balmy 80 degrees, blue skies. Come on down, the weather's fine. And of course, I have to say a shout out to my 91-year-old mother, Wanda. Hello, Mom. And all the other South Florida recumbent riders. So we're going to have a great show today. Everybody stay tuned.
All right. Thank you very much. Also from a little further away across the pond, Salzgitter, Germany, our webcast director, Lars Kamm. Hey, Lars.
Hi, folks.
Welcome, welcome. As always, we're sure glad to have you with us, switching those pictures, Lars. So
thanks for having me.
All right. Okay, also today we mentioned earlier, I was going to say not in the screen, but just in time for his introduction. I don't know how that happened. Switch over him, Lars, if you
we're going a little dynamic.
Okay.
Amanda, can we get you for a minute here? We'll get you right done and right out of the way.
Can make sure we can see something, Denny. We're going to go right to Denny Voorhees in Florida right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so
Denny, I just see your hand. Denny, I only see your hand. You're going to have to turn the other side. There we go. Now I see you. Go ahead.
Are we good? See me or see Amanda?
Denny, I only see your hand.
All right.
That's fine. Just use that camera. That's fine.
Okay, I'm here with Amanda Coker, and current record holder on the most annual miles.
Okay, turn to show her. There we go. Turn to show Amanda. Hello, Amanda. Denny, turn it a little bit more so we can see her.
Oh,
there you go. Hi, Amanda. Thank you so much for joining us. Denny, go ahead and ask your question if she has a second.
Today's the halfway point?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. How many miles today, do you know? Or how many miles total, do you know today?
Probably 41,800.
Wow.
At least.
Show her, Denny. Show her.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Is that better?
That's fine. We get to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the show, Amanda. We all support you and hope you do. I know you're going to do it. So we're all behind you. We'll talk to you again maybe when you're at the end.
Sure.
Okay.
6 months.
That's nothing for
well,
you.
I'm hoping to be down here in February. So
at the rate you're going, that's right.
February.
Best of luck from the Laidback Bike Report.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. I guess she's going to probably get right
guys.
back on the bike. Bye-bye. Attaboy, Danny. All right.
Hey, couple other things, Gary.
Yeah,
got
go ahead.
Ben Tomlin here.
I see Ben.
Doing,
Hi,
Ben.
Ben.
Good. Yeah. Hey, both of you guys. Okay.
Oh, wow. There's a double. Yeah, you got them both.
Ben's keeping her company today.
All right.
Yeah. How's your day going, Ben?
I'm doing excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. You got a big smile on your face.
Any day here.
Ask Ben how.
Yeah.
Ask Ben how he thinks Amanda's doing.
How do you think Amanda's doing?
Phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a word I hear everywhere here. Everywhere here is phenomenal. So she's doing.
So you think your
excellent.
chances are fine of making the record then, Ben?
She's already got the record.
Yeah.
Well, yes, she does. Okay. There's another one out there though.
She's got the women's record, and
Well, we'll see how that all goes.
every day she bests the women's record by a little bit more.
Yes, she does. Very good. Thanks, Ben. It's good to see you.
2.5 days.
Okay.
Yeah. This is Rick Coker. This is Dad. It's Amanda's Super Crew. One of two, actually.
Denny, you might have your finger over the microphone. We can barely hear you.
Okay.
That's it. There you go.
Yeah. Here, Ben, go on over there with him.
Oh, there's your bike. Can you get a picture of her taking off, Dan? Oh,
well,
look at that.
I think we will here in just a minute. She's not going to be here for very long. So.
Okay. Yeah. She doesn't
and
stay
there's
one.
Mom too. it's a. Yeah, I know. It's a team effort. I know. All right, Amanda, get going. We'll see you. Thank you so much for your interview.
Keep your camera on her. Keep your camera on her. Denny, keep your camera on her. Denny, keep your camera on her.
Yeah, here we go.
Bye, Amanda.
Bye, Amanda.
There she goes, folks.
It's a good idea.
What did she say, Denny? Did she say every 3 minutes is a mile? Is that what she said?
Every 3 minutes is a mile. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, that's someone who's very, very focused on what she wants to do, obviously.
She just gave us about 3 miles. So
well, we sure appreciate that. I know that's not lightly taken by her, so we sure appreciate that.
No, it's not. She's very focused, but so,
all right. Anything else there,
Rick,
Dan, before we cut back?
What's it like being the dad of the record holder?
There's Amanda's dad. Go ahead.
It's very exciting, never a dull moment. We're running food bottles out to her throughout the day. She will not stop for anybody for long, as Dennis found out today. But she's doing really good. We're proud of her, and she just amazes everybody every day with what she's doing, and just the effort level that it takes her to get up every morning. And she has not gotten up a single morning yet and said, "I don't want to do So she's doing good.
Mention the weather too.
This summer was a tough one. It was very hot, of course, and thunderstorms every day and lightning, and we had a couple of hurricanes and a tropical storm, and she's just pushed through every day like a trooper.
She is a trooper.
That's awesome, man. I tell you.
She just goes by like clockwork.
Well, he must be awfully proud. He should be awfully proud of his daughter. So congratulations to him, and the best wishes to all you guys. Thank you so much.
Very good. Ben, you got anything else? Any other words of wisdom, buddy? Yeah. Okay. That's it all. Okay, Gary. That's it from here, from Flatwoods Park and near Tampa, Florida.
Thank you so much, Denny. We appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
See you later, bud. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, folks. Yeah, that was live from Florida. That cut-in was a little earlier than we thought, but we had a chance to actually see and talk to Amanda, which was just great. So, all right, let's get back to the show. We were introducing Denny and saying he wasn't with us, but there he was. So he's usually in Sarah, Pennsylvania, but he's on assignment, like we said, in Florida. So, hey, Denny, thank you so much for that great report. And, of course, Bryan Ball. From Rochester, New York, the founder and editor of Bet Rider Magazine and the anchor of Laidback News Desk. Hey, Bryan.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
All right. So we're
live TV, everyone.
Live TV. We never know what's going to happen next. So that was pretty exciting stuff. All right. So we're gonna move along now and get back to our regular programming at this point. On today's show, we're going to be talking about bent bling. If you have purchased a recumbent bike, you know that it's just the beginning of the process. You're adding idlers, accessory mounts, racks, bags, stems, fairings, and flags, and those are just some of the ways that we choose to improve our bikes. You can purchase some of these items from your bent manufacturer or your local bike shop, but there's only one company that covers it all in their own unique style. Holding a cherished place in American recumbent bike history, TerraCycle is well known as the major innovator and producer of everything you need to go with your bent. Folks, I hope you'll welcome the owner and founder of TerraCycle, Pat Franz. Hi, Pat.
Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Pat is, of course, in Portland, Oregon, so though it might be morning there, yeah, it's afternoon here.
It's still morning here.
But we are very happy to have you with us today.
Glad to be here.
All right, so let's go right on into the interview and talk to you a little bit about your background, if we could start there. Can you fill us in a little bit about your background leading up to when you started TerraCycle?
Well, I was in the computer business for 20 years almost, and I don't know if anybody out there is in the computer business, but it's pretty tough. You work a lot, 60, 80 hours a week sometimes. And I just got burned out on that. And I kept dreaming about what I really wanted to do was make stuff with my hands instead of just programming stuff on the keyboard. So
was that your educational background, Pat? Did you go to school for computers, or?
I have an electrical engineering degree.
So I'd say yes.
But I like a lot of stuff. And I was one semester away from a mechanical engineering degree. But my wife and I were tired of being poor, so we left school and got jobs. So,
okay, let's go ahead and let's take it to the next level, the next part of your life. So you decided to start a company. Tell us about the origins of TerraCycle. What happened? How did this all come to being?
Well, I looked around at what I wanted to make, and what I really wanted to make was bicycles. And I looked around, and the coolest bikes out there were recumbent bicycles. So I decided I'm going to make recumbent bicycles, and I'm going to do something that's different and better. And so that's what I set out to do.
Okay.
And
so
I actually only ever made one model of bicycle, the TerraZa. It's a short wheelbase bike, kind of like a V-Rex. And it wasn't too long before I figured out that there were lots of other people that were making bikes, but no one was really making the parts that people needed for their bikes.
So the idea for TerraCycle at the very beginning, Pat, was it to make recumbent bikes, or did you initially think you were going to be making parts? What was the concept?
Well, what the concept was is I wanted to make bikes, but I found that I needed to make my own stems, and I needed to make my own accessory mounts, and I needed to make my own idlers, all this stuff. And that was fine. And I enjoyed making, nice little parts to go on my nice bikes. But when other manufacturers started coming to me and saying, you know, can you make several hundred of these for us? And I had customers calling who said, I really like your bike, but I have this kind of bike. Can I just buy your stem? And then I realized, no one is addressing all the special parts that recumbents need. And
so you
making
found your
bikes-
niche, and that's when you decided to kind of get into that.
Yeah, I decided, making bikes is fun, and I like the welding and everything like that. It's really time consuming. I had a nice CNC milling machine, and I could make big volumes of parts, and I can hire someone to help run the machine. It's harder to hire someone to weld bikes. You have to be a really good welder to do that, which is funny. The guy now, Mike, who does our machining, is also a very good welder. So
Ended up finding a good welder to boot, didn't you?
I kind of have both. But
let's talk about Portland a little bit. So you're in Portland. Are you from Portland? Is that how you got there, or is there some reason that you ended up in Portland?
Oh, long story. I grew up outside of Washington, D.C. and moved to northern Idaho. My father worked for the Navy, and the Navy actually has a base in northern Idaho, believe it or not. So we wound up out there, and, it's a short hop over to Oregon when you're in Idaho. So that's where I wound up.
Okay. Now, what was the first shop like? So when you started business, what did you purchase a little real estate, a building? How did you get started? What did it look like?
Well, it looked like a dump, actually. There's some pictures later on in the,
Okay.
in the slideshow, but like a lot of bike builders, we started out in a barn, an old barn. It used to be out in the country, and then houses got built all around it, and it was turned into a warehouse. And that's where we started out. It was about a mile from my house and on the way to my daughter's school, so it was a real convenient location.
Okay. And then subsequently, at some point, you moved then from there to where you are right now?
Yeah, we were there for almost 17 years, and then we moved over here 4 years ago. But we bought the building here 4 years ago.
All right, let's go to some of the very early days. Let's take a look at the pictures. Carl, if you could pop up those early ones, maybe. And let's start here a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit, Pat, about what we're looking at here? Is this that TerraCycle?
That's my first production bike there. I'm riding it around Crater Lake, Oregon, which is a big volcanic caldera lake, and a beautiful place to ride a bike. There I am riding it around the lake. Me back when I had hair.
All right, we won't pursue that. All right, next one, please, Carl.
And there's a real photo of it. And these pictures look kind of grainy because as I was telling Gary, this is back from 1997-ish, when if you wanted to put a picture on your website, you took a film picture and you rode your bike over to the 1 hour photo and you got it developed, and then you scanned it and put it on your website, which in my case, I had to dial up and upload pictures to the website back then.
That was a fantastic bike, if I can interject, by the way.
I
had one of those for a bit, and that was fantastic.
So what became of that? Let's go to the next slide. Can you tell us about what became of it? I guess what became of it is that you kind of went on to do what you ended up doing. Is that it?
Yeah, the TerraCycles are all collector's items now. This photo here is the very first bike I ever made, which was a test bed bike, and everything is adjustable on it. The head angle's adjustable, the fork offset's adjustable, the handlebars go up and down, in and out. The cranks go forward and back.
Next picture, Carl. I think we can see a little bit some of that stuff.
That's some of the fork offset adjustment. And I made it so that a single wrench controlled all the adjustments, and I'd ride around with that wrench in my pocket. And
next one, Carl.
and that's the head angle adjustment mechanism there. So I'd ride around with the bike and doing errands and whatnot all around town, and trips and stuff. And when I'd encounter something and the handling felt a little weird, or I wanted to experiment, I'd just stop and I'd tweak it a little bit and ride it around some more. And after about a year, I got it dialed, and that's the geometry I used on the TerraCycle.
Very, very nice. All right, let's continue with some of the things that happened after you opened up the shop and you started making some of the add-ons that you do. You over the course of some years made some acquisitions to bring your product line to, I guess, widen your product line. You can tell me about what the purposes was. But I know of we have Fastback and WindWrap and Velogenesis, and I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about those acquisitions and how they might have played into your vision for the company.
Well, my vision for the company is I want to make all the little things that make recumbent riding fun, or make it able for you to do it. Whatever those little things are, little mounts or bags, or special needs things, whatever. All those little things to make the basic bike or trike really work for you. So things like Fastback. In that case, Mike Vogel had been making bags for years, and his background, he's a nurse, and he wanted to be hydrated when he was out riding, and so he started making a way to carry more water, a water bladder specifically. And pretty soon people wanted to, hey, can I get one of those? And so he had a business all of a sudden, but he was working full time. And what he told me was, I work all day, I come home, and then there's a stack of orders and emails I have to do, and then I don't get to bed till midnight. And so he said, I think I can't, really do a good job of this. It's bigger than I can do. Do you want to take it on? And so I bought him out, and
that's true. How about WindWrap?
Fits right into everything else we want to do. So.
And I assume the others did as well. WindWrap, the fairings, that was something that fit right in with what you do.
That fit right in. Actually, Mark and I had been talking for about a year about he would buy his aluminum tubing from Portland and have it shipped down to Northern California at pretty considerable expense, because Eureka, they call it being behind the redwood curtain. There's very few roads into Eureka. And so, he was buying his tubing in Portland and shipping it down there. And then he had no local place to get it painted and things like that. And it was hard to get it welded and things like that. And it's like, well, we can buy the tubing locally. We can weld it. We can paint it, that kind of stuff. And in Mark's case, he's he's an engineer for the California Department of Transportation.
Can you tell us who is Mark?
Mark Mueller.
Okay.
And his brother Carl ran WindWrap fairings. So that was in 2009.
Okay. All right. Let's. I think at this point, maybe a good idea to have a little closer look at what your setup is there. So, would you mind maybe taking us around the shop and showing us the various areas, departments of your shop? I'd love to have a little tour.
Let me unplug my laptop and we'll go on a little tour here. Sorry if it might be a little bit shaky. I'm going to do all this by hand.
You're going to be fine. I'll give you some guidance if we need to see something specific, but I think you'll probably be fine.
See, the video looks backwards to me. Is that video?
Yeah, that's got to be a little. No, it's perfectly fine. It's just like it was the other day when we practiced it. So don't worry about that.
Okay. So what I'm standing in front of here, this is our main milling machine. It's a Morisaki brand machining center, and I'll show you inside here. This is what we're currently running today. These are friction hinge parts for fairing mounts. So that's the setups in there. You can see we have two twin vices. So we can do 4 different things at a time. Here's what the parts look like when they're done.
Right. I think I remember seeing some of those on the pictures that we're going to look at here shortly. So
there's at least one fairing picture, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's, you know, bins of parts. So this particular part is a 3-stage process. First, the blanks get put in the vise and they get drilled and tapped and a few features done on them. And then they get mounted onto jigs like this. You can see it mounted onto a jig. And then that jig goes into the milling machine. And the first step is drilling and tapping a pinch bolt hole. And then it gets laid down flat. And then all the rest of the things get machined. So
that's pretty cool.
With this program, we do 4 at a time of this stage, and then we do 2 at a time of that stage.
Okay.
And a typical run for us on something like that would be 200 parts at a time or something.
And that's, I was just going to ask you how you can see how computerized this process is, yes?
Oh yeah, it's all computerized. We design everything on the computer, machine it and everything. So this is my original CNC milling machine. It's what they call a knee mill. But this machine, you have to stand there and run it. You know, the computer moves everything around, but you have to change the tools if it's time to, you know, change from a drill to a mill or something like that. The other machine's got a big turret full of tools, and it changes everything automatically. And it can tap holes automatically, which is really, really nice. Let's see, move around a little bit. This is a general purpose workbench. It's set up to do pad printing right now, which is this little machine right here, which is a party, but it basically picks up ink off of a little thing and then plunks it down on the parts. So you can see there's some parts we did the other day. Those are bar end shifter mounts.
Oh, okay.
That's a metal shear over there. That thing's older than I am, but it works really good. And let's see around here, and drill presses and stuff. And this is a special flagpole grinder. It's a wet grinder, so the fiberglass dust doesn't go around all over the place.
All right.
And another drill press. And
yeah, your picture is deteriorating just a little bit here, Pat. Can you hear me okay?
Okay.
It's okay. We're still seeing it, but when you want to show something, just hold it very, very steady and it should hopefully clear up.
Okay. Yeah, this is our welding area. Those are bearing mount parts again.
That's fine.
And up here, that's a bunch of 7/8 tubing. As it turns out, we buy about a mile of 7/8 tubing every year. So we got about a half a mile there left.
Wow.
Sitting up there. Let's see. This is more storage shelves. Another workbench over here. And most of the parts we store on shelves like this. Let's see if I can get the angle right. This camera isn't looking exactly where I expect.
Yeah, that's very clear. I think as you're walking to this area, it's starting to clear up a little bit. So.
Okay. Well, I'm getting further from. I was further from the router.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I think you can tell. All right, you're good.
This is, you know, assembly bench here. That press is where we press the bearings into the idlers and things like that.
Okay.
And then go upstairs here to the fastback and flags area here. So this is where we make the flags. You see the flag workbench there and a few flags on there. It's, we're working on a bunch of flags for Easy Street at the moment.
They'll be happy to see that, I'm sure.
Yeah, they've got a bunch, but we're due to send them another batch next week. So that's kind of the upstairs here, and then you can
get the overview now.
Yeah, get the overview of the shop there.
Very, very nice. And then off to one direction, there's your offices. Is that right? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I'm actually standing on one office.
So that's what's below the flag area.
Yeah, and then my office is out front.
Okay.
On a separate little thing. And I was going to show you the, sorry about all the camera stuff moving around.
It's okay.
I'll show you the wind wrap area real quick here. Lights turn on. So this is where we make fairings. You can see a few fairings stored away there, and there's a fairing in process on the workbench here. Sorry about the angles here for some reason.
No, that actually looks terrific. So,
there's fairings that are stored. So when we blow fairings, this is the, oh, excuse me, just snagged a wire. This is our fairing blowing oven here. And as you can see, so we take sheets of Lexan, polycarbonate, and we cut them to the right size, and then they go in this preform on the oven, and the oven heats them up to the forming temperature, which takes about 5 minutes, and then we turn on a blower that puts about half a psi or so, and it very slowly over the course of 5 to 8 minutes blows the fairing up and out. And you want to go really slow because that way the thickness of the fairing is kept uniform. If you blow too fast, you get thin spots and thick spots. But
so does it blow it into a form?
No, it free blows.
Does it just from the air?
Well, just from the air, but we're carefully controlling the heat and the pressure and the temperature gradients and the initial shape. As you can see, the initial shape there. Right. So.
But the bowing of the fairing, then that's all done just with the heat in the air.
The heat in the air and the consistency of the blowing pressure and the temperature and everything like that.
Very, very interesting.
It's a little bit harder to see here.
Yeah. Gary, we had a question. Someone asked, does he
hang on a second, Pat. Go ahead, Carl.
Does Pat make a fairing that will fit a cruise bike?
Yes, we have put fairings on cruise bikes. The XT fairing, a little mini fairing, kind of just covers up your feet and keeps them warm.
Which is good. That was James McGowan that asked that question, by the way. Okay. So thank you, James, for that question.
So interesting on cruise bike. The cruise bike distributor is here in Portland, the U.S. distributor. And in fact, they used to rent a corner of our building, and but then they moved out and got their own storefront and stuff.
Okay.
So
well, good. Thank you very much for taking us around. That was really kind of interesting to see. Let's, if we can, at this point, if you're settled in there, Pat, we will let's go through some pictures of what goes on at TerraCycle, and maybe you can describe them a little more closely. So that's another aerial shot of what maybe you just showed us, right?
Yeah, that's the shot. That's the summer after we moved in. So we've moved a few things around since then.
Right. Okay. Let's go to the next one.
These are some fun little idlers we did. We did these for the Rans Ram team. I don't know, gosh, 8 or 10 years ago, something like that. And their team colors were yellow and black, so we made them special idlers to go on their Extremes.
Nice. Next one, Carl.
These are idler mounts, and we make a bunch more than that now, but just an idea of the breadth of the things that we do. We machine a lot of special little parts, and we try to make them as general purpose as possible. These are idler mounts, but people have used them for motor mounts and all kinds of other things. They're kind of a heavy duty clamp on.
Seeing this, it occurs to me, I was wondering how you choose to make these different kinds. So every one of those is for a different bike or trike, or do you wait till someone calls you up and says, how come you haven't made one for an ice trike yet? Or do you kind of take the market as a whole and have an idea where to start and then just kind of wait for that to come in?
It's a combination of things. I mean, we listen to the market as much as possible, and go to shows and things like that, and check out all the new stuff. And we look at what's selling, and we talk to dealers and things like that. But we also just listen, and if we hear somebody say, I really wish I had something for this, and we go, oh, we could do that. There ought to be a market for that. So going to rides like Tot, I go there to have fun, but I also go there to listen to people say, I wish I had something like this.
Yeah, you're riding with the people who are your market, so that really
exactly
that's a great dual purpose.
You hear people complaining about this doesn't work, or I wish I could do this or whatever, and it's like, oh,
and you go,
we have 3 out of the 4 pieces to do that already.
That's cool. Next one, Carl.
Yeah, this is just a random idler kit. That's a couple of 10mm bolts, it looks like, on that one, and showing some of the ways that we can put things together with chain keepers and chain tube holders and things like that. We've got so many different pieces that we can mix and match and make.
Next one, Carl.
Things. That's another chain tube idler kit. It's got everything but the idler there.
Right on. Yeah, that would go on the top there, looks like. Next one, Carl.
And yet another idler kit. This one's got a special shaft that it's 8mm on the outside, but it's threaded 6mm inside from both ends, and it's got a little flange on it. And if you have a bike that's got a 8mm smooth bore idler mount, you can put that in and pull it tight from the opposite side with a 6mm bolt, and then it gives you a nice smooth machined 8mm surface where you can float an idler back and forth.
Okay. Next one, Carl.
Oh, that was just a fun picture. Those are adjustable bottle holders.
And that was your stamping machine, right? That we saw.
Actually, that's laser marked.
Oh, is it?
Are laser marked? Yeah.
Okay. Next one, Carl.
And that's a big pile of sport idlers. We make the sport idlers. Thousands and thousands a year of those. Catrike, of course, puts them on all their trikes, so there's a whole bunch of idlers right there. But that's the metal core that's inside one of our sport idlers.
Next one, Carl.
And that's machining idler cogs. The blanks start out in the front there, and in this case, there's 7 across, and they get the center hole is machined out and then bored with a boring bar to get a very accurate hole. And then the 4 little bolt holes are drilled in it. And then it goes to the back station there, again, 7 of them. And that's where the teeth get cut out and beveled all in one step.
Okay. Next, Carl.
That's a stack of titanium cogs for the 23 tooth idler.
Next one.
And that's the 23 tooth elite idlers with the bearing carrier and the bearings pressed in.
When you get close up like this and take that nice shot, Pat, it's almost a work of art. I mean, I'm no judge, but I'm telling you, your stuff is just so beautiful.
One of my guys, Kaz, really likes taking artsy pictures, so he took this one.
Well, I mean, but he has an artsy subject as well, so I'm just telling you,
thank you.
It's
nice. It's interesting when you're making things and you just kind of have a pile of stuff that you're assembling, and you look at it and you go, oh, that's kind of a cool collection.
Lots of people have businesses that that create things that they say they take pride in and make beautiful and above and beyond the the utility of that thing. But clearly, this is what we're talking about with TerraCycle. I'm just, when you look at some of the things, I should say this to the end when I'm telling you this, but it just, when I see this picture, it just kind of, it occurs to me. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Let's go to the next picture, please, Carl.
That's one of the things we love doing. It
clearly shows.
Cool stuff.
What is this green stuff? What is this?
That's in the big milling machine again. And the blue stuff there is the coolant. The machining coolant. It's kind of got a blue dye in it, and those are 23 tooth elite side frames, and they get the insides machine. No, it's the outside. You get the outsides machined 2 at a time in the front station, but it doesn't machine all the way through, which is why the coolant stays in the little depressions there.
Next one,
and
Carl.
then they get mounted to a jig and flipped over, and the other side machine. So
okay,
and that's just a those look like yeah, those are Rand's idler mounts.
Okay, next one, Carl.
Down the other plate on it, and that is a mold die for the sport idlers. I just thought people would find that interesting to see what a plastic die looks like. It's a big chunk of hard steel with the shapes machined into it, and then beyond just what they call the cavity, there's all kinds of little things in there to grip it and push it out and things like that. And what you're looking at there is about $12,000 worth of machining.
Wow.
To do that, and we send those out. We don't do those, but
next one, Carl.
Specialty thing. That's our new 23 tooth sport idler there that came out of a mold, a lot like that one that we just saw.
Do you want to take a second to talk about the different? You have 2 basic types of idlers, right? What you call the sport idler, and then your regular ones. Tell me about that. I'm not sure I understand.
Well, the elite idlers are the ones that we first came out with, and they're completely CNC machine, titanium cogs, ceramic bearings, the whole 9 yards. And then the sport idlers are a lower cost but still very capable idler with 70-75 aluminum cogs and very nice steel bearings. But the sides are molded nylon, fiberglass filled nylon. So it's really tough plastic, but the sides are plastic instead of all machined.
Gotcha.
So we can make them for a much better price than machining them.
Next one, please, Carl.
That is me and one of my former guys, John, who designed a lot of the 23 tooth stuff. We're at the molding shop test fitting a cog and carrier to the freshly molded part.
Okay, next one.
And that's a 23 tooth on a Titrikes.
Okay,
Just,
next one.
Looking down the business end of it there.
Yeah, lots of tools there too. All right, I guess we're going on to the next step here. What do we got?
Sky, yeah. We just started doing Purple Sky a year and a half ago.
And what is that about?
Quite fun.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, Dan and Rochelle Peters started Purple Sky years ago, and again, kind of just they wanted to make flags, and Rochelle sews, and so they started making flags, and they made cool flags, and they put reflectives on them and things like that to make them more effective for real life riding. And pretty soon people wanted to buy them, so they started making them, and enough people wanted them that it kept them kind of busy, but they both had full-time jobs and they have 3 kids.
It's starting to sound like a repeat story.
Yeah. Well, if you're self-employed and you have any success at all, it kind of takes over your life. So you got to find some balance. And
it's nice that you were there with the opportunity.
Well, actually, it's funny. Dan posted a thing on Bent Rider Online saying that he was going to shut Purple Sky down. They just couldn't keep up with it, and they had too many other things to do in their lives. And so I called him up and said, Dan, the only reason I haven't been making flags is because you've been making flags. And I have, we have a policy that we don't, if somebody else is doing something already, we don't start doing that thing. There's just, the market's not big enough for that.
Right.
And I said, Dan, I'll buy you out whatever inventory you've got and tools and whatnot. I'd love to make Purple Sky flags. So we made a deal.
Yeah, there you go. So once again, Bent Rider, Bryan is in there facilitating something new in the industry or change. So
and some of those flags look kind of familiar. The ones kind of over to the right side of the picture there.
Ones in there, aren't
there? There's some of ours. Yeah.
So you can actually get some of those at Bent Rider, I think, can't you? Purchase those there.
Yeah, I think we got quite a few. Yeah.
So they look great. The sewing on the flags. So we manage the getting them printed, and we put the reflective material on, and we make the poles and all that kind of stuff. The actual sewing is done by a local sewing company called Black
Next
Star.
picture, Carl. I think we have more as we go here. So
yeah, there's a picture of the Purple Sky area upstairs. A few flags in process there.
So individuals can order these, companies order them. So you have quite a range of people that that order these for you.
One of the things that I really liked about Purple Sky flags is they're digitally printed. Every flag is individually digitally printed. And so all the color fades and stuff like that is all digitally done. But it means that you can make any flag you want. For instance, we made a flag for a commemorative flag for the Tot Ride, excuse me, that's got actual photographs on it. And the photographs are sharp enough, you can recognize people in the photos.
That's amazing. Let's go to the next one here, Carl.
We can do custom flags with, store names on them, or, the name of your favorite ride, or, somebody you're sponsoring or whatever. And then we have another level of customization where we have a computerized cutter that cuts out the reflective material, and then we heat stamp that onto the flags. So we can, customize at that level too.
Very nice. Next one, Carl.
And that's a few different flags there. You see some of them are the custom flags, some of them are the standard flags. The standard flags have a reflective dart on them. And then the custom ones, obviously, Hustle Shop, Angle Tech.
I don't know if we have any more picture. I don't know if we have a picture of this, but I know when we saw you at CycleCon, you had a light that attached to the pole there. Can you talk just real briefly about what that's about?
Yeah, it's nice to have a light up high, and if you've got a flagpole, you've got a place you can mount a light if you wanted. And something we've done for years is make little special rubber collars that snap onto a flagpole onto a rack or anything, is how we originally started doing it. But we started making those for flagpoles, and then we did a survey, and we bought, I don't know, 20 or 30 different lights and tested how they worked on flagpoles. And we found one, which is a Cat Eye Rapidex light that snaps right onto a flagpole with no other shims or anything required. And now they have one called the Rapidex 2, which is what I was showing at the Recumbent CycleCon. And it's got a little channel in it that's about the right size for a flagpole, and you just snap the little O-ring around, and you've got a light on your flagpole.
It was very impressive. I thought it was great. All right, next picture, Carl. What we got here?
Well, I told you we designed everything on the computer, but sometimes, if you want to machine a prototype, it can take hours to get the program all set up and machine it and test it and things like that. But there's an intermediate step you can do just for quick testing on things, and that is you take the CAD drawing and you print it out 1-to-1 on the laser printer, and then you cut it out and you take that piece of paper, and it's exactly the right size, and the features are all in the right places and everything like that. You can kind of do little mock-ups and see how things are fitting. That particular one is a prototype of our flag mount.
Okay. That's funny that you talk about that particular process of design, because if I can just take a few seconds, Carl, if you can come back, we do almost the exact same thing here on the Laidback Bike Report. Carl, if you can come back, could you show us what happens if somebody has a question? I don't know. Can you pop that on your screen? And Lars, can you get him on? Oh, he's already on. Carl, there. Yeah, there you go. Carl, what do we do if you have a question? Just show it, Carl. I was hoping this was going to take too much time, but okay. No, Carl, you have a little thing, a little flag thing that you can hold up. We need to see you. All right. Well, this is a disaster, ladies and gentlemen. Something that yeah. Where's your little? We can't hear you. You're muted still.
You're muted. Yeah.
Very high tech. Very high tech.
Yeah.
If we have a question, we go.
There it
Very
is.
high-tech.
There is
You know,
the payoff, ladies and gentlemen.
High tech.
That should teach me never to
Laidback
go down
bike
that
report.
road again. So, all
I
right, let's
didn't-
get back.
Well,
I
we
didn't
didn't
prepare
rehearse
a
this,
sign.
Gary. I didn't know what we were doing.
Brian didn't get. You guys
I
don't
didn't
know.
prepare a sign.
Carl knows about that. I'm sorry to have interrupted there, Pat. Yeah. Well, all right, Carl. Thanks. If you go back to your, I like to see Carl once in a while. I feel bad that he's always off the screen.
You
right.
never see me.
There we go. He's back. All right. Now thank you, Lars. There we go. All right. So, so you use that low tech method, and that's the template, and you can see what's going on, which makes a lot of sense. And you do that quite often.
Yeah. Not all the time, but sometimes when you're working on the computer screen, you take your measurements and you get them into the computer and you draw things around them and stuff like that. You can kind of lose your sense of scale. Is this thing really going to work? And so, yeah, just print out a quick paper copy, hold it up there, and go, is that in the ballpark?
Okay, let's go on to the next one, please, Carl.
That's a picture of the machining center showing some of the tools in the tool turret.
Okay.
Again, another artsy photo with
really pretty. Next one, please, Carl.
Chips.
I think there's a few of these.
Yeah, that's another picture of it. It's got 21 stations in there, so we can have drills and mills and taps and all kinds of things in there.
So cool. Okay, next one, Carl.
That's coring out one of the sport idlers. So the molded plastic parts, when they squirt the plastic into the mold, they squirt it into the center, and the plastic spreads radially outwards. And we had them do it that way because it results in the flattest part. Depending on where you squirt the plastic in, because the plastic cools as it travels through the mold, you can kind of get what they call potato chipping, whether it'll curve things. But when you squirt it in the middle, everything's kind of even. So they squirt it in the middle, and that leaves a little disc in the middle. And of course, the idler shaft has to go through the middle.
Right.
So we core it out with this cutter. It's called an annular cutter. It's like a super accurate hole saw.
Okay. Next one, please, Carl.
And that's just
this is magic. What are you doing here?
Well, that's the vise that's over by the machining center, and we've got a little magnetic cup there for holding bolts. And those are jig bolts that hold parts on jigs while they're being machined. And because we're doing hundreds times a day, we're tightening and loosening the bolts. After a while, the Allens wear out, and so we have to have a supply of additional bolts on hand.
And you'd rather have them handy there than rolling around on the floor when you've dropped them. Is that basically?
Yeah. And when you're running the milling machine, you don't want the coolant all over your hands, and so you wind up wearing gloves. And so you want something you can easily pick up, when you're wearing a rubber glove and
sure.
Pop into
okay, next one, please, Carl.
Jig, and away you go. This is more machining stuff. This is the side frames from the 15-tooth Elite Idlers.
Nice.
Again, you can kind of see where there's one stage in the front vise and then a different stage in the back vise.
Next one, Carl.
That's our chain dispensing machine with 10-speed and 9-speed chain on it. And we developed this little machine that holds the spool of chain. So we buy chain 500 feet at a time. And then we have a 24-tooth chain ring on a crank. So one turn of the crank is a foot of chain. And then we've got a little special holder that holds a plastic bag, and it dispenses the chain right into the plastic bag. And then we've got a Park chain breaker right there, and we just break the chain, it falls in the bag, boom, off
nice.
it goes.
Brian, I couldn't see if that said question, but I saw you holding something up.
It's my poor imitation of the official sign.
Okay.
But,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Zachary Mormon was asking, and I gave my answer to this because having to pick flag colors, I kind of had my own opinion. But he was asking why you don't offer the bags in more colors, like it's just the red and the black.
Yeah. Well, Originally, Fastback offered bags in black and fluorescent kind of lime color, and we offered that for several years, and then it got to be a difficult thing to do production-wise because only about 5% of people wanted the fluorescent bags, and the fluorescent material was harder to get, and so we decided we just need to simplify it. Just bags in black, which is what most people want, and then put some more, reflective material on to give it more visibility at night.
That's kind of what my answer was too. Yeah,
it's really difficult as a manufacturer to have so many options on things. You wind up inventorying all kinds of stuff, and then some stuff's there, for a couple of years before it sells, and so that was one thing we had to let go.
That's what I had said too. That's why we went to the tie-dye, because no matter what flag color we made, somebody wanted another one. Yep. So we just put all the colors on it and go with that. And luckily you guys can print that, so it works out.
A brilliant solution.
The print process, as long as we put in a large order, a couple hundred flags or something like that, all the flag prints don't have to be the same. And the flags get printed 7 across. And so we can give them, 5 different artworks and say, print these 7, print those 10 times. These 7, print them 3 times. These 7, print them 20 times. And we still get the good price on doing a volume order with them. But all the flags don't have to be the same. And it's just a management problem after that of keeping track of everything and, organizing it and packaging it, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Thank you, Bryan. Thank you, Zach.
Before we shift the picture from the chain, James wants to know, can he purchase custom length chain?
Yeah, we sell custom length chain in 9 and 10 speed. Yeah, we go through several spools of chain a year.
Very good. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move that next picture if we could. Thank you, James, again for that good question. And what are you doing here?
This is installing and setting up a fairing on a Catrike. It's just a picture of a fairing. You can see one of those friction hinge parts kind of right above the left shifter. A little bit hard to see. You kind of have to know what you're looking for, but and it looks
like there's a little bit of moisture on that fairing there. Is it? Does it rain? Does it rain there often?
It's Portland, and that was actually about a year ago, back when Rose City Cycles and Cruise Bike were renting our little space.
Okay. So let's go next one, please, Carl.
And that's more of those friction hinge parts, like we
saw earlier. Yep. Next one, please, Carl.
And that's a 1-inch collar clamp. That's just another example of the things that we wind up making. We make those for the fairings because we wanted a nice 1-inch collar clamp that had a little lip on it, so you can slide it on and it would stop in the right place, everything like that. And over in Taiwan they make all kinds of things in 1 1/8 and whatever, but nothing in 1 inch. And so we'd been buying DKG 1 1/8 clamps from down in the Bay Area, and but they didn't make a 1 inch, so we had to shim them. And so we decided, well, we should make our own. That's exactly the one that we want.
So, okay, next one, please, Carl.
That's Mike, and he's welding. That's I think that's Cockpit Mini T that he's welding there.
Okay. Yeah, we saw that station, I think, when you gave us the tour, didn't we? Okay. Next one, Carl.
And that's one of our new items there. That's what we call a handlebar accessory mount. And it's got a clamp that clamps onto your handlebar and goes out sideways. And the clamp actually has a wedge clamp on it. So you can put whatever tube you want that's sticking out on it. In that case, it's got an L-shaped one.
Okay. Next one.
And that's, well, we saw that in the video.
Yeah, that is the stamping machine.
Bunch of bar end shifter mount clamps. And then I think the next picture up is a bar end shifter mount. Yeah, there's a bar end shifter mount.
There it is.
It lets you put a tube going horizontally that you can attach, phones or GPSs or mirrors or motor controllers, whatever you want onto, even if you have bar end shifters.
Nice. Next, please.
That's a battery mount shelf, and this one's on a rigid rear ice. So we make battery mount shelves in all kinds of configurations, and we're about to expand that even more.
I was just going to say, I mean, everybody I talk to says that the e-assist is just these motors are just kind of blowing up, and so I expect that has a direct effect on some of the things that you do.
Oh yeah, definitely. E-assist is great. I've ridden with them, and it's wonderful. It doesn't mean that you don't like pedaling. It just means that you get to have more fun while you're pedaling. So
there's lots of instances where that makes
motors
good
on.
sense.
There's a lot of reasons for it.
Okay, let's go to the next one, please, Carl.
That's one of our seat side mounts. This one's on an ice. Our seat side mount system is totally clamp based, and so you can mix and match and change lengths and make them double sided and move things in and out and up and down. And it shows that you can put both a handlebar bag and something like a water bottle on it. People have done all kinds of things with this. It's pretty fun. Somebody will buy one, and then a month or two later, they'll call us up and say, "Can I get this and this and this and this piece?" And because I want to do this, it's like, yeah. So
back to work you go. Right. Next one, please.
We try to make things that work together when we can, just to make things more versatile.
And make sure that people can maybe buy one item and make it work for two different things as opposed to buying two items to make it work.
But as a manufacturer addressing a specialty market, we can't make purpose-built things unless the market's really, really big. So for things like that, where trikes are so different, how you attach onto a trike and the angle of the seat and all these other things are all different. So we need to make things so that they're adjustable, and to do that, we make things that clamp together instead of being welded together. And then once you do that, you should make a standard clamp so you can use it lots of places. So
good. All right, what do we have here, Pat? Lots of people using some of your products, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's from a ride last summer we did, where we started out here at our shop, and we rode over to Rose City Recumbents, which is about a mile away. And then we rode over to Recumbent PDX, which is another mile and a half or so away from that. And then we meandered our way back and came back to the shop here and had a barbecue dinner, an open house.
Next one, please, Carl.
That's a little bit of Portland there.
Okay.
This is a little bit of Idaho for anybody who's been on the Tot ride. That's a picture from Kellogg there. You can kind of see on the very left, there's a big wheel in the background.
Oh, yeah.
It's part of the old mining equipment up there,
okay.
Back when they were doing silver and lead mining up there.
Next one, please, Carl.
And that's a picture on the Coeur d'Alene River, again, on the Tot ride. This was actually taken shortly after Stephen launched his ice trike off the cliff, coming down a steep road. So
I assume that did not turn out well.
It turned out way better than anybody was worried about.
Oh my goodness.
Fortunately for him, when he went screaming down there and couldn't take a corner, he sailed off and went down an embankment with a lot of young trees. And so that slowed his fall before the final big tree stopped him. But some of the other people on the ride, Steve Sussman, saw the tracks, and he went running down the embankment to help him and stuff like that. So, but he's okay now. There was a thing on Bent Rider just the other day where he's riding again and enjoying going fast downhill again. So.
All right, let's real quickly here. I just happened to see this is a comment from Greg Cantori, who's watching, saying, "I love the idlers on my Milan SL Velomobile." So we really haven't talked about Velomobiles too much. But how's that part of your business? Do you is there a complete section of Velomobiles that you build for?
We have several different velomobile kits. Most of the stock idlers on velomobiles are the same size as ours, and so you can swap them in pretty easily. Velomobiles isn't a huge market internationally, so the numbers aren't huge, but we always love working on velomobiles.
Yeah.
I wish
we
I
love
had one
talking
again.
about them here too. We did a great, amazing show on that earlier this year, and I'm really very serious about doing that at least once a year. I think we're going to do another one probably this winter again and talk a little bit more about them. So fascinating stuff. All right, let's move along.
I used to have a Quest, and I really miss the Quest.
Oh, did you have one? Yeah.
Yeah, we had to sell it when we bought the building. Basically, anything that wasn't nailed down had to get sold.
And if Lars wasn't tied up right now switching pictures, he would come on and tell you about his velomobile that he loves as well. So, all right, let's move along here. So, what do we have here on this?
All I can say is it's a bad decision to swap a velomobile for a building, after all.
Well, I told myself when I did it, I'm going to get another velomobile someday. I'm going to get another one someday.
Well, hopefully you will.
It hasn't happened yet. But when we moved, we had a test fleet with 17 different bikes and trikes and a velomobile in it. And that was a little bit excessive. So we sold off almost everything. And we have to keep our test fleet fresh. We can't keep them forever, even if we love them.
Right. Okay. Could we talk about? Let's talk about the bags that we see here and the mounts.
Yeah, that's the route of the Hiawatha in Idaho, which hardly recommend if anybody is anywhere near northern Idaho in the summer. They should go to the Tot Ride and ride all the different routes there. But it's an old railroad through the mountains, through a whole bunch of tunnels, and this is what the countryside looks like there. That's a fastback hydration pack on the back of the seat, and then there's an Axiom handlebar bag on a seat side mount.
Okay.
You can see there's a bunch of mud on the.
Yeah, I think we have another picture, maybe idler. That's there we go.
There's an idler
Look at
there.
that.
So the route of the Hiawatha, very interesting story. Is all these tunnels blasted through the mountains of Idaho, and when they pulled the railroad tracks out, it's just gravel, but there's a thin layer of clay sort of mud on top of the gravel. And so when you ride through these tunnels, one of them's over a mile long, you get a little fine flecking of mud all over you.
You can see that. You can see that. So it's not just the idlers. You look like that too when you're riding.
You want fenders when you ride the route of the Hiawatha.
Good point. Okay, let's go to the next one, Carl.
Kind of you're riding on gravel a lot, and so it's kind of bumpy, but fenders are essential. I put this picture in just because it was one of my favorite rides ever. That's on the Bodensee Koenigsee Radweg in southern Germany. Roads like this all day long. It's just totally awesome. They're little farm roads, single lane paved road that just wanders through the farms and goes from farm to farm to farm. And no one drives on them because they just meander around. And then if you're a farmer, that's the way you get home, but there's no other reason to go on there. And so they run the bike route along these roads.
Makes sense. Some beautiful riding in Germany, I'm sure.
Riding, and that's a couple of ice trikes that we borrowed from our distributor in Europe is Acletta in near Frankfurt, and those are a couple of electrified ice trikes.
Nice. Okay, let's go to the next one, please.
Making me homesick, Pat.
Yeah, both Lars and Bryan. Well, Lars lives there, and Bryan has spent considerable time in Germany.
And this
what do you got there?
That's just another picture from the same ride. That's near the Koenigsee. We were almost done on the last day there. Okay. But the electric trikes, talk about electrification a little bit. When I talked to Kirk Seifert at Acletta that, we were going to come over and do a ride and could we borrow a couple of trikes? He said, oh yeah, sure. And then when we get there, he says, the only couple of trikes we've got left are electric. Is that okay? And I was like, oh man, we're going to be taking these things on and off of trains, and we don't need electric. We're in shape and everything like that. And so, well, we took them, and after the first day, it was like, ooh, electric. We like these.
Nice. Okay, let me just
part of it
interrupt
was
for a
the
second.
hills. Part of it was the hills, and part of it was the heat. It was in the high 90s every day, and it was very nice.
I wanted to
late in the afternoon, you just go, get me home.
in case anyone thinks that that watching the Laidback Bike Report is only about recumbent bikes and you can't possibly be educated about anything else, here's a little geography lesson from one of our viewers, James McGowan, who says caliche is a sedimentary rock, a hardened natural cement of calcium carbonate that binds other materials such as gravel, sand, clay, and silt. So I know you were going there, Pat. You probably were about to tell us that anyways, but I thought I'd just jump in there with that. There you go. All right, let's go to the next slide, please, before we get caught up in more.
Recumbents in geology. You need to add that to the tagline.
I think so. We're going to talk more about geology. I'm going to do a show. I'm going to do a show on geology. I'm glad that you brought that up, James. Thank you. Okay, what is this here? What is this?
A fun picture. This is our old shop where we were for 17 years or so. And that's when Rome came to town, when all the velomobilers rode from Portland way back to Washington, D.C. And that person right in the middle of the picture there is Robert Johnson. So anybody who calls or emails into TerraCycle winds up talking with Robert Johnson. He's the one that takes care of our customer service and orders and things like that. And he's chasing after his then 1-year-old. But that's our old shop.
Very good. And for those that have watched,
was right.
Those of you that watched that Velomobile show that we did in, I believe, February, we talked fairly extensively to Joseph Janning, who ran this Rome ride, and so it was an amazing feat. And again, we're going to probably talk to Joseph again next year about some more of the Velomobile tours that are coming up. So
yeah, he's organized all kinds of things. I mean, that guy can organize things.
Yeah, he's quite a guy. He really is. So well, yep. Okay, let's go to the next one, please, Carl.
And this is a picture of Robert working on somebody's Velomobile. Yeah, with all these Velomobiles in town, various people, needed little fix-ups on their machines.
And the ride started in Portland. Did you already say that? I'm not sure.
Yeah. I rode with him the first day.
Nice. Next one, please, Carl.
And that's where we are now. Much nicer building. It has heat, for instance.
Wow.
But this is an evening just before an open house when a whole bunch of people were going to come over. We've had an annual open house tradition.
I think we have more pictures of this. Next one, Carl, please.
Yeah. That's people having a little party. So there's a local organization called the Oregon Human Powered Vehicles Association, and mostly recumbent riders and people that build their own bikes and things like that. And we have a little open house every summer and have people over. And
very good. Next one, please, Carl.
Ride bikes and have fun. And
there you go again.
On that evening.
Okay. Next one, Carl.
And that's me.
What is that?
At Recumbent CycleCon. I think it must have been toward the end of Recumbent CycleCon because
It was time to get off your feet because I know you were working like crazy while you were there. As we were talking to you, and I know you were talking to 1,000 people. So a well-deserved little rest on a trike.
Yeah. As hard as your feet work at Recumbent CycleCon, your voice works even harder.
It does. It does. And you can probably tell that's solid cement underneath there. It's not exactly the cushiest of floors. So, all right, let's end that part of it here. And let's finish up with just a few more questions, I think, Pat. And thank you for taking us through those. I want to talk, you just touched on a couple and showed a couple pictures of employees. I wanted to wonder about how many employees you have and what sort of work do they all do?
So there's 7 of us here, and there's me, and I kind of manage things.
Right. That's not you, but
no, that's not me.
It is you. Yes. Okay.
That's Chaz, who's our production manager, and he loves to goof around, and so he made up these little eyeball things and had
next one, Carl.
And that's that's Silas. Working the drill press.
Are there holes in those eyes so they can see?
There are holes in those eyes, but the drill press was not running during.
Seems good because that seems like an exceptionally dangerous thing to do. Yeah. Next slide, please.
And that's Mike. who does machining and welding.
Well, you have some fine-looking employees, I can tell you that. So, all right.
Yeah, Mike could win the most handsome beard contest.
It's hanging out there, isn't it? All right, let's move along here. Can you let's look a little bit into the future here if we can. Can you tell us about what new products or directions you might be heading at TerraCycle you want to share with us?
Nothing I can share with you right now.
Oh,
we have nothing in the works.
Okay.
With somebody who'd like to retire. That's very exciting, and we're looking forward to that. As far as other new products go, more things with battery mounts, more things with seat side mounts, more things with accessory mounts, more things with flags.
Okay.
So whatever the need is,
you handle it. I wanted to address just one more subject here that we kind of got into, and I found out after the fact that you were involved as well. A few months back, we took our cameras and covered the American Society of Mechanical Engineers Human-Powered Vehicle Challenge that was in Athens, Ohio, and saw all the crazy bikes that the young engineers engineering students had put together, and saw some of the races and that sort of thing. So it was kind of interesting. But then I found out that you have some involvement with that organization as well. Can you tell us a little about that?
Well, we've been doing it for years. The teams that make, generally it's a recumbent bike or trike that they make in these competitions, and so they find their way to us, and we help the teams out. Sometimes they don't have very much experience designing things like bikes, and they get into trouble with the chain lines and things like that. They design this super duper frame, and then this guy, oh, how do we get the chain from up there to back there? And then they find us and idler mounts and things like that. We help them.
So these are universities that from like all over that contact you, or are they local universities maybe?
No, they're from all over the country. From all over the country. And now that the teams have been going for a while, the teams debrief the next year's team and tell them, here's where you go to get this, and here's where you go to get this. And so they come to us earlier in the year, which is good. Yeah, they make some very interesting machines.
Very good. All right, just to finish up here, I want to make sure that we haven't overlooked anything that maybe you were still thinking of. Is there anything we might have left out, or you wanted to talk about, or closing remarks at all?
Gosh, we've covered all kinds of things.
We sure have. Did you want to hold up a sign at all, or anything you want to do?
No, just I encourage people. We're a small company. We're very responsive. We like finding out new things that people need. So don't be bashful getting a hold of us and say, what about something like this?
And if they want to get a hold of you, Pat, what's the best way to do that? What are the best ways to get a hold of you?
Well, t-cycle.com. So t-cycle.com gets to the website. And from there, you can contact us and call us up on the phone or whatever. So.
Very good. And we would encourage people to do that. I want to thank Pat for being such a wonderful guest here on the Laidback Bike Report, talking to us about so many interesting aspects of his business and the things that he makes. And I know it's just going to make a great video for those that aren't watching right now, that are watching later on. Very excited to share all this with them. So Pat Franz, thank you so much for sharing everything with us today. And I hope that you'll stick around for the rest of the show. We're going to finish up here in a few more minutes. But thanks a lot, Pat.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's really great to show people what we do and give people a little better idea of how their stuff gets made.
Yep, which should be interesting to everyone. So, okay, thanks, Pat. All right, let's move along. Next in our lineup today on Laidback Bike Report, we have our news report. So from the Laidback News Desk, I want to throw it to Bryan Ball. Bryan, take it away, bud.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? We have it's winter time, so there's not a whole lot of news this week, but we have a couple good things for you. First of all, cruise bike this past weekend. this past week at the World Time Trial Championships. I'm starting off good. Held in California, they set not one, not two, but 3 new world records. They seem to rack them up at a rather alarming rate when they go to races. Jason Perez set the 24-hour men's recumbent record after covering 462.9 miles in 24 hours. Pretty outstanding. Kevin Gamble also went 284.4 to break the 12-hour record, and Jim Parker, one of the founders and owners of Cruise Bike, set the 6-hour record, 127.2 miles an hour. All of those are pretty amazing.
Brian, I'm sorry. I believe you mean miles, not miles per hour, because that's.
Oh, you're right. I wrote miles per hour on that.
Not only is a
no,
record
that would be amazing.
Race,
that would be fantastic. That would be.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Jim's pretty good, but I don't think he's that good. Yeah,
okay.
127.2 miles. All those were set on Cruise Bike Vendettas, their top-of-the-line racing bike. And speaking of Cruise Bike, also, to stick on a theme, it was announced a couple weeks ago, former solo Race Across America winner Maria Parker will be taking another crack at it after a couple years absence from the race. She's going to be heading out, and again, we'll be racing to raise money for the brain cancer research charity, 3,000 Miles to a Cure, also on her Cruise Bike Vendetta. That's an older picture. She has the newer, fancier one now. It's going to be very interesting to watch. If you guys didn't see the last time she won, there was an accident with one of her support vehicles. They almost didn't go. They almost didn't continue. She wound up coming back from being nearly a day behind and still won the race. So I'm hoping, sure that she's hoping to lead from the front this time and not have to come back and win. But it was an amazing race last time. I'm sure it's going to be amazing this time. So that's really great. If you go to Race Across America website, when they start, you can follow them live, and they have their little live tracking data. It's really amazing and fun to watch. And also on other bike news, non-racing related, like I said, it is winter time, so we're not getting a whole lot of new product releases, but it is the time that everything's finally coming to the shores that we have been waiting for all this time. First of all, I have pictured here, we have the Greenspeed Aero. I didn't get this confirmed from Greenspeed. I tried to get a hold of them, but I know I'm waiting on one. And another dealer told me that they are here in the U.S. The container with the first load of them is here in the U.S., just waiting to go through customs, and then they'll be out. So you should be seeing those in U.S. dealers. They said by Thanksgiving was the last I heard from Greenspeed, and it sounds like they're on track for that. So everybody who's waiting on those, very happy to hear that. And lastly, the long-awaited Catrike Dumont that's gone through a few delays. That's actually hitting dealers now. Mine's supposed to be here Monday, according to FedEx tracking. So they're finally going to be coming out. A lot of people are excited for those. They've had a huge order for those. That's the full suspension Catrike, if you're not aware of that. And that's about it for the news this time. And hope I have more next time around. Winter's kind of slow, but sometimes people sneak out a little release there. So we're right before the first of the year. So hopefully we'll get our first of the year surprises the next time I'm here.
Right, Brian, we'll look forward to that. Thank you very much. A great report. I might only add for the Parkers and Cruise Bike, that Ram ride, the reason, I shouldn't say the only reason, but one of the reasons they ride Ram is to raise money for a very important cause that we've talked about a few times here on the Laidback Bike Report. We like to plug when we can. 3,000 Miles to a Cure. Look it up, 3,000 Miles to a Cure. It's a great charity for curing, finding a cure for brain cancer. So if you want to support not only Cruise Bike and the Parkers and the Ram Ride, support their cause. It's a great way to do that. 3,000 Miles to a Cure. And with that, let's move along to the Google Plus recumbent bicycle community. At this point, we have hit, I think it's the 1,009 member mark. We probably haven't quite updated that map. So thank you very much, all you new members. We've picked up quite a few here in the last couple of months. We appreciate that. Keep posting, telling us your stories, and posting your pictures and discussions. It's wonderful to have you. And as you probably know by now, if you follow this report every month, we pick winners in various categories of our posts, and we're going to go through the winners right now. First of all, for the winner of the Picture of the Month, it was Oliver Brandmuller, a good friend of ours, and it was a bent tour of Italy. There's lots of pictures. This was a good one. Very interesting configuration on his bike. You can notice the solar panel. He also posted about what his entire electrification of that bike amounts to. You might want to take a look at that. But Oliver, really nice pictures. There's a bunch of them on the community. So get over there, take a look at them. Thank you, Oliver, and congratulations. Next, we have the video of the month. This is a relatively new member, and I really don't know his name on YouTube. He calls himself Rightmarker, so that's what we're going to call him here. And he titled his video "Hanover Zoo Alone." Really, really interesting video. You take a look at that. He's got that selfie stick, and he gives you an interesting view of that that trike that he put together there. Looks like a homemade kind of thing. With a, I believe, New Mexico license plate hanging on the back. Very crazy. So kind of a cool video. Get a look at that if you have a chance. Next is the discussion of the month. The winner of that was Andrea Monticue, and it was a discussion about her Haluzak Horizon frame failure. So as you can see from that picture, she had a problem, and the discussion revolved around how to fix it, what might have happened. So interesting. You might want to take a look at that. And as most of you know by now, we carve out a very special award each month for our member Pulcher, who does nothing but crank out the most amazing pictures of his travels around Germany. So we carve out a special section just for him because we have to show his pictures. This is just one, all so amazingly artful and beautiful and interesting. So this was afternoon countryside ride, lots of other pictures there. One selection does not do justice to what he posts, so I would encourage you to hop on the community and take a look at the rest of his pictures as well. So congratulations to all the winners. Thank you very much for posting those. All right, let's talk a little bit about what's coming up. The next Laidback Bike Report I'm in the process of setting up. We're going to have a very interesting family called, they call themselves Familia Supertramp. This is a family from Spain. It's a mother, father, and a couple of small children who are traveling, taking a year off and traveling throughout Europe. They started much earlier this year, have been through Spain and France, and are now in Italy. And Oscar Barrero is the father's name. What he does to take his family along with 2 trikes and 2 trailers is incredible. Not only the physical taking the family along on the trikes, but the education of the children. So they're getting educated, of course, by the travel, but they also have to keep up with their regular studies. So he does some of that online. They bring books along with them. Of an amazing family riding recumbent bikes in ways that very few of us have ever thought of doing. So I hope you'll join us. I believe it's December 4th. We're going to have the next show, and we're gonna learn a lot more about Familia Supertramp at that time. So please join us for that. And I want to thank at this point all the folks who make this show possible. First of all, Bryan Ball. Bryan, pop yourself on the screen there if you would, if you're still with us.
That's me. Yep.
There you go. Bryan, thank you so much for the wonderful news report, and of course for all the support that you give us on Bent Rider. It's something that we just can't value highly enough. So thanks for being on the show, and thanks for everything you do for us. Thanks.
Thanks. It's always a fun.
Okay, thanks. All right, and of course, Carl Kidd, who deftly handled all those pictures today. We sure appreciate what you do for us each month, Carl. Thanks a lot for being here.
It's my pleasure, Gary. I like every once in a while to get to come out from behind the curtain.
Yes, we love having you out. That's why I try to get you out. And speaking of coming out from behind the curtain, there is Lars. Can you put yourself on there, Lars? Lars, thank you again from Germany for doing all the wonderful switching. You did a great job as usual today. Always nice to see you, and we really appreciate you being on the show. Thanks a lot, Lars.
My pleasure.
And lastly, certainly not leastly, our special guest who's still with us. We're so glad to have Pat Franz and TerraCycle with us for that wonderful talk today about everything that goes on at TerraCycle. Thanks again, Pat. And you have yourself muted. See, I knew this might happen. It's what Pat, I'm sure, said was, "Oh, you're welcome, Gary. I come back anytime is probably. Is that what you were saying, Pat?
Oh, basically, yeah. Yeah.
That happens every month.
Thanks for
Don't
having me
worry
on.
about it.
It was fun to show you around.
It's great to have you. And to each one of you out there, folks, we appreciate you being with us live, the ones that are with us live, and those that are watching later on. Thanks so much for making this show the success that it is becoming, and supporting us each month. So I want to finish up by thanking also Rands once again for supporting us by sponsoring us this month. Gerald has posted a new Into the Ride article. I don't know if you guys know about that, but if you go to the randsbike.com site, this has been going on for a long time, even when Randy was there. They have basically a blog called Into the Ride, and talking about various recumbent subjects, mostly about their bikes. So he just updated an article that talks about the rocket that we mentioned earlier. So I hope you'll check that out. And while you're there, find a Rands dealer near you. Find it all on, like I said, randsbikes.com. Let them know that you saw it on the Laidback Bike Report, and that will really help us out as well. So how else can you help us out? If you go to our website, you're going to find a lot of stuff there. One of the things you'll find is a section saying buy a hat. So it's the same hat that you see Larry, let's see, can you put that? There's Larry wearing right there, and Bryan was wearing one of them today. We sure appreciate that helps us out. It's $20, $5 shipping and handling. So let us know. We'd be happy to ship you a hat on that. So that would help us out. You can also help us out by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Can you come on back? There we go. Thanks. The YouTube channel is where all of our videos end up, of course, after we do the live show. And you'll see a subscribe button there. On the website, we have a subscribe button. So any place you find it, please, and of course, like I told you earlier, that red subscribe button on the video, hit that. That will subscribe you, and you'll get a notification for all the shows when we go live, so that you'll know. One of the other things we do on YouTube to make it easier for you is we put together a clickable table of contents in the description. So below the video, if you're watching later on, you'll see something that says, I think it says description. And you can go in there, and we'll have links to every section of the video as it occurred. So you can jump to those because the show is getting rather long, and you might want to see different parts in sections as opposed to sitting down for an hour and a half and watching everything. So clickable table of contents you'll find there, and all the links that we talked about and the ones we talked about today, mostly the TerraCycle links and the ones that we mentioned, I'll put in there so you can just jump right to that. So yeah, YouTube channel, subscribe. If you're on Facebook, please like the Laidback Bike Report Facebook page. That also helps us out a lot. That little I in the upper right-hand corner that we talked about earlier, that will get you to the website and more information about the Laidback Bike Report, which the website, of course, again, is laidbackbikereport.com. There you will see, among other things, the past shows. You can see right there that Carl popped up there. You'll see the headings, past shows. So you can find all the past shows right there. Just click and go. Bonus material. We have videos that didn't make the show, and lots of pictures also that went with the show. You may want to kind of drill down and see some of those things. That's all there in the bonus material stuff. There's a little blog. I talk about the show itself there. Tells you about everybody that's on the show, and then there's the ball cap thing. So yeah, all that stuff is available on the website. So please get there. And you can find more about Laidback Bike Report there. While you're there, you can also sign up for our mailing list, which we have, I don't know, 200 or 300 people on now. And I will send out an email just probably once or twice a month telling you about either what's coming up maybe a week ahead, and then probably the day of, I'll send you out an email and let you know what's going to be on the show that day, or if anything pops that's of interest, I like to send that out to you there. So mailing list, all at laidbackbikereport.com. So that should do it for today, folks. I sure appreciate you all joining us and supporting us. So until our next webcast, from all of us at the Laidback Bike Report, So long, Bent Riders.